Hello, it's Kimberly Nielsen with Shift, talking to you about deep healing using deep tissue. We are your deep tissue massage specialists in West Volusia and Central Florida. And why that's important, I have a lot of stories. You'll find out if you talk to me long enough. But I try to stick with my story. So I have a story. We're talking about how trauma, how old wounds get stuck in the body. So we're not just talking about emotional trauma, which we've mentioned before in other videos, but we're talking about actual physical traumas. Wounds get stuck in the body. Sometimes you think about it in terms of scar tissue, but it's really bigger than that. It's memory, it's muscle memory, it's tissue memory. The body remembers being injured. And every time you mimic something that reminds the body of when that happened, that injury is going to flare up again. That wound is going to flare up again. It's going to be triggered again. It sounds a little way kind of out there, but it's totally true and it totally happens. One of the things that I always think about is, so I have an issue with the middle of my back, right? So, I go by day in and day out and it doesn't necessarily bother me, but I get stuck. I get stuck back there. And if I try to, lean back on something, I totally feel how I can't breathe, right? And then it triggers itself whenever it really starts to hurt or starts to pull on another part of the body. But one of the things I remember is being on a massage table, before I became a massage therapist, being on a massage table and having that massage therapist say, and this is the crazy part about massage therapists, because how do they know, right? She said, "Have you ever fallen off a horse?" And I'm like, no, I'm totally a city girl. I'm not spending my time around horses, right? So no, I thought that was kind of a crazy thing to ask me, and no, it wasn't relevant, so whatever, I let it go. Wouldn't you freaking know that 2 days later, I'm like, holy crap, I fell off a horse. When I was a kid, living in Simi Valley, California, my friends lived on the bridle path. My friends all had horses. Not all of them, but a lot of them had horses. And I was on a horse that I never should have been on. But I was on a horse and I got bucked off that freaking horse, probably 8 years old, 10 years old maybe, onto the pavement, city street. I totally fell off a horse. How did she know that? How did my massage therapist know that? Who knows? We can totally follow that rabbit hole on another day, on another conversation. But I say all that to say that wounds, old wounds, get stuck in the body. And maybe my back issues go all the way back to that falling off a horse. Maybe not. I don't know. But I remember another story. It was not a client of mine. It was a client of a friend of mine who was always having hip issues. And one day when he was on the massage table, he had this memory of being injured jumping out of an airplane, right? Military background, wartime scenario. I don't know what the details were, but I remember he had a memory of jumping out of an airplane and being injured. And it was just as simple as honoring that, acknowledging that, and all of a sudden he stopped having the hip issues, the hip pain, the chronic, problematic hip issues. So I say that to say that old wounds get stuck in the body, and sometimes it's just requires us acknowledging it and processing it instead of stuffing it, letting it flow through us, acknowledging what has happened, honoring the body, and letting it go. Deep healing with deep tissue at Shift.